So you can see it as clear as day. The money, the cars, the lifestyle. There's stories all over the internet about salespeople making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in a single year. What if I told you the power lied within your brain? What if you could focus all your brain power to focus on one thing, so much so that success is literally inevitable? My name is Dwayne Golden, and I'm the VP of Sales at a $20 billion software company. And before I was a sales executive, I failed out of high school, dropped out of college, and lived with my parents for way too long. Until I cracked the code on sales. On this channel, we talk all about how to master sales and make more money at every stage of your career. And today, I'm making stuff easy for you. I've curated a list of books that help me make over $250,000 in a year in sales. So let's talk. I know everyone's not a big reader, so I went ahead and summarized each of the biggest points from each book and how it had a direct impact on my personal income. So let's go ahead and dig into book number one. Book number one is by David Sandler. It's called You Can't Learn to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. And two of my favorite quotes, I'll read for you right here. It'll show up on your screen. It says, "You must learn to stay behind the pendulum. When you stay behind the pendulum, you allow prospects to sell themselves. You can gently guide them, but let them come to the decision on their own." And my second favorite quote, "When you detach yourself from the outcome, you free yourself to sell without pressure." Come on, somebody. This allows you to interact more genuinely and build relationships with your prospects. So important. So two of my favorite points here actually referenced in the quote. The first one is the idea of staying behind the pendulum. I think sometimes when we hear anybody even sneeze, right, and even start to begin to sound like they're ready to buy, we start pushing them to get it done now. And what this guy's saying, what David Sandler's saying, is you want to stay a little bit behind them in the pendulum. If they're all the way over on this side of the pendulum saying that, yo, I think I'm ready to sign this thing. I don't have any more questions. I'm ready to go. Just sign me up. Maybe just stay a little bit behind them, just a tad, because those people usually end up with buyer's remorse, so they don't follow the whole way through. So maybe you ask questions like, hey, what could prevent this deal from happening? Make them second guess things. And then as they answer these questions, they'll likely say, I can't really think of anything. Oh, sometimes my legal department would have to get involved. But the idea here is, team, that whatever they are in the pendulum, in the emotional process of buying, you want to stay slightly behind them so they never feel that push. And it allows them to feel as if they're in control and making the decision for themselves, all while still getting you what you want. Staying behind the pendulum. I probably did about a B job of explaining the concept. All the more reason to go out and get the book for yourself. Me personally, I like to read books on audible.com. And when I say read books on audible.com, that means have someone read to me while I'm either driving to work or walking, I'm in the grocery store, wherever I am, washing dishes. Just having the book in my ears is a more efficient way of getting books in and completed and done and learning things. So that's what I recommend. Get the book for yourself. You'll learn a little bit more about staying behind the pendulum, but a powerful, powerful concept. My second point about the book, my second biggest takeaway that I use for myself in my own day-to-day sales job is this: detaching myself from outcomes. One of the biggest traps we fall in as salespeople is falling in love with the idea of the customer signing the DocuSign, right? Signing the contract, closing on that house, closing that big deal, whatever it is. And what happens is when we fall so in love with that particular outcome, we tend to get desperate, right? And once there's desperation has a certain smell to it, and it stinks. It stinks just like in your personal life, right? If you think about maybe there's a girl, she's absolutely desperate to get close to you. She's desperate to go out and hang out with you. It's like a little unattractive, even for a man. I know women have the same thing. If a guy's like creepy all over you nonstop, won't even give you like 5 seconds to breathe, it's desperate, it's unattractive. The same thing happens here. So this book talks all about how to detach yourself from outcomes and how it can help you close way more deals. So once again, go out, buy the book. This book helped me make a ton of money, especially on opening more opportunities and not getting to the point where customers feel like they're being pushed, and help us get transactions done a lot more seamlessly. If you feel like your transactions are filled with nothing but friction, you gotta get that book. All right. Now, book number 2, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Maybe you heard of this book before. I'm sure you did. It's a book that most people talk about. Kind of like a good restaurant, right? Let's say you live in a big city, or let's just assume you live in a big city, and everyone's talking about a particular restaurant. Usually, as long as they're talking about the food, usually it's because the food is actually good. This is one of those things, let me tell you, the Think and Grow Rich food is actually good. People quote it all the time for a reason. This book's been read for so long. It is a classic. And if you talk to any seasoned salesperson and you ask them, how much of sales is mental? How much of sales has to do with your mental fortitude? And you'd be surprised with anybody who's had success in sales. Don't ask the people who aren't good, because what do they know? Ask the people who've had success in this industry, and you'll quickly find out that half of the battle in sales is the mind game. And for the mind game, one of the first books I'd recommend you getting is Think and Grow Rich. I'm gonna read you one quote from the book. It's gonna show up on the screen. Check it out. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat. In this book, he's gonna talk about the importance of desire, defining what it is that you want. Half of the time, people are struggling in their mental health. Half of the time, people are struggling or in a rut in sales. They've forgotten their focus. Why do you want to go crush it this quarter? You've got to paint the picture. Define what it is that you actually desire. Yes, you want more money, but why? What is the reason behind it? Yeah, you want that nice car, but why? Define your desire. It will make it so much easier to stick to it when it's hard. Because the thing about sales, it's not easy. That's why it pays so much, right? This is the most sought after, highly paid skill in the world, correct? So, one of the things he talks about is desire. Second, the importance of belief in yourself. One of the things about sales is there's gonna be some times where everyone is doubting you. You're a manager, right? Maybe if you're a CEO, you're an entrepreneur, your employees. There's gonna be times where people are doubting if you still have what it takes, or if you were the right person for the job. You need to have the mental fortitude. This book talks about the importance of believing yourself, what you bring to the table. Third, one of the concepts that I think has continued to make an impact on my life is this idea of a mastermind alliance, which is just an old school way of saying surrounding yourself with people who can push you in the right direction. People who can push you in the right direction. So many times in sales, people can go negative, right? You'll notice the negative people who are like in a bad headspace mentally, are the ones not making any money. So it's so important that you're surrounding yourself with a mastermind alliance. He goes into much more depth there, and how to qualify this, how to build your own mastermind alliance. I definitely recommend go out and get this book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. If you want to make money in sales, you got to have the mind game right. Half of it is in the mind. My third book, and I got this one physical. This wasn't an Audible. Actually, I did have the Audible, but I got the physical because it was that good. The third book is The Checklist Manifesto by Dr. Atul Gawande. And here it is, The Checklist Manifesto, How to Get Things Right. And I'm gonna read for you a quote to kind of give you a concept of what this book is all about. Checklists help with memory recall and clearly set out the minimum necessary steps in a process. They not only offer the possibility of verification, but also instill a kind of discipline of higher performance. If you're in sales and you're watching this video right now and you're not looking for higher performance, you're on the wrong channel watching the wrong video. If you want higher performance, you've got to get predictable activity, right? A lot of times what happens, especially if you're talented, this is the trap that talented salespeople fall into, is you get so comfortable flying by the seat of your pants, going off the top of your head, and you lack a system. And a lot of talented salespeople can do quite well just kind of winging it off the top of their head. This book talks about the power of checklists. It goes into stories about pilots, right? They know how to fly planes. Even with autopilot, they live and die, quite literally, by the checklist. If pilots need checklists, how much more do salespeople need checklists? What is more complex than the human brain? Interacting with another person, getting them to yes, or getting them to see the value in what you're selling. Separating them from their money and giving it to you. It's complex. It's a complex concept. This book talks all about how you can use the power of a checklist in your everyday life to get higher results. I rolled something out. I did another video recently talking about checklists. Some people like scripts. I prefer checklists to scripts. So all of my salespeople, I've got about a team of 100 people that work under me, and what we do is we work by checklists, and we noticed the increase in the number of opportunities open by a massive margin. We noticed the number of deals closed increase by a large margin, all by incorporating checklists. So guess what? Every demo one of my reps go into, even myself, if I ever join a demo, any customer demo that I join into, I've got my checklist out. There's certain things I want to do on every single call. Certain questions I want to ask on every single call. And the reason is random activity. If I'm just random on every call, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, or I'm just like completely winging it, I'm gonna get random results. Random activity gets you random results. If I got a checklist, a system, certain questions I ask when opening an opportunity, certain questions I ask when closing a deal, I'm gonna get more predictable results. The checklist manifesto helped me realize this and helped me even in my management style, my leadership style, but most importantly in sales, having checklists helped me not skip steps. One of the worst things you can do if you've been in sales for any amount of time, you know this, is skipping steps. Rookies always skip steps. That's why they always cost them money. So go out, get the checklist manifesto. You can see the link in the description for all the different books here. If you want to buy it, I'll get a little affiliate income. But definitely get the books, even if you don't use my link. Up next, book number 4, Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is another one of those books that over the last 2 years, people have been raving about. And let me tell you, this book's so good, I try and read it once a year. I think I've read it twice already. I'm probably gonna need to do it for a third time here in the next couple months. Atomic Habits is absolutely incredible. I'm gonna go ahead and read a quote from this book. And check it out, it'll pop up on your screen. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fail to the level of your system. I'm sure you've read that quote out there. Here's another quote from the book. He says, habits are the compound interest of self-development. Habits are the compound interest of self-development. So if you're in sales, one of the things you'll realize is you don't just arrive, right? You don't just like, hey, I'm good at sales now, I'm done getting better. Not if you're the kind of person who's looking to make like $300,000 a year, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million a year in sales. You're not gonna do that by just being comfortable with where you are. The only way you get those exceptional results is if you're willing to put in exceptional work. And this book's all about habit formation. That's one of the biggest takeaways for me is it taught me how to form habits. And one of the cool concepts it has is, he talks about is making it easy. I'll give you a personal story here. Something I wanted to do, I wanted to say when I turned 33, I just aged myself, was get more in shape and be healthy. I wanted to work out every day. I got 2 kids, I'm married, I work full time, so I get home every day around 6:30. Then I eat dinner with my kids, don't finish up until around 7:30. And then I hang out, play some video games or do something, hang out with my son until 8:30. At 8:30, then I get to hang out with my wife and then go to sleep, wake up, do it all over again. So I had to figure out, how do I incorporate this habit of working out and when can I do it? First step was, make it easy. This guy's so crazy. He says, even if you go to the gym for 2 minutes in the very beginning, it'll help you develop this habit. I just saw, guess what? I called this guy on his bluff. I tried it myself. So I made it easy. I made myself wake up every morning at 5 a.m. I go to the gym, and some days I was only there 5-10 minutes, but I did it every day. And then the next week, started, getting a routine. I extended the time a little bit, got a little bit easier for me. Until today, years later, obviously, I do a full gym session and it's now easy, it's now a habit, it's part of my lifestyle, I work out. It's not a big deal. But it all made it possible, or the way I believe that I made the habit was by this book, Making It Easy. Baby steps, not trying to conquer. A lot of times people when they go in the gym, they're gonna go in day one and do a crazy workout. Not the way to do it. Gym's one of those easy examples of habit development, but this book is absolutely incredible because there's certain habits you're gonna wanna incorporate into your day-to-day sales game as a professional if you're looking to make 300K plus a year like I was. And this book absolutely made a big difference for me. So habit formation, we talked about that. Let's go ahead and get into the next books. I know a lot of people talk about that book, but this book is a hidden gem. It's actually not so hidden anymore. It's absolutely blown up. So maybe you've heard about it, but there's a chance you have not. And yes, I have a biased opinion, but I can confirm this stuff is the real deal. Boss Moves by Uncle Myron Golden. Don't call him Uncle Myron unless he's your uncle. He's actually my uncle. And he wrote this book called Boss Moves, Business Optimization Secrets from $1 Million Round Table. absolutely incredible. And I'm actually gonna open the book and read a quote for you from one of my favorite parts. And he has a very interesting definition of sales. In this book, he says, persuasion is not about manipulating others to get what you want. It's about aligning your message with the values and the desires of your audience. When you speak to what truly matters to them, you create genuine influence. And one of the concepts I learned from my uncle is sales isn't about convincing people, right? That's where we get it messed up. We think it's about convincing someone to do something that they didn't necessarily want to do. It's not about convincing at all. It's simply unveiling the value in what you have, allowing someone in displaying and communicating the value in what you have to someone who doesn't yet realize it's what they want or what they need. That's what this thing is about. It's not about convincing. If you find yourself having to really manipulate someone to change their mind and do all this stuff, that's not sales. It's simply uncovering value, to put it plain and simple. And if what you have is truly valuable, you'll be a good salesman if you can communicate that value at a high level. If you can connect that value to their pain, connect that value to their desires, you will make money all day long. This book is full of gold, not just for salespeople, but for entrepreneurs alike. By the way, every entrepreneur is a salesperson. So follow my Uncle Myron on YouTube. He's blown up, he's huge on there. And this book is one you're gonna wanna get for yourself. Boss moves. Up next, book number 6, Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Absolutely incredible book. I started reading this book when I was around 18 years old, and it changed the game for me from a mental standpoint. I'm gonna read one of my favorite quotes from the book. To achieve major success in life, you must accept 100% responsibility for your life and results. Nothing less will do. The day that I realized that where I am today is no one else's fault but my own was an illuminating day. The day that I stopped blaming my circumstances, right? Maybe the city I was born, maybe being of a certain race, maybe looking a certain way isn't a determining factor of who I am or where I am. Who I am and where I am today is a direct result of my own decisions. I must take 100% responsibility for my own life and my own action. Nothing else will do. This book is full of gems just like this. In sales, one of the things that happens all the time, and this is gonna make somebody mad watching this video today, but it's the truth. What happens is someone will lose a deal. And the first thing you want to do is blame everyone but yourself. Oh, the sales engineer, the guy who did the demo, he wasn't paying attention. He didn't read the notes that I prepared him with. Oh no, man, the customer had, his daughter got sick, so he couldn't make the call. Or start blaming everything else but yourself. The only way you get better at anything in life is by accepting 100% responsibility for what has happened. Even in times like when things are outside of your control, you got to look at what was within your control. Obviously, everything in life isn't within your control, but if you can look at a deal after you've lost it and then begin to think, what could I have done better? Right, fine, I couldn't control his daughter getting sick, right? I couldn't control the fact that I was born in this town with slow internet. What was within your control? What could you have done better? You've got to accept 100% responsibility because guess what? My dad always says this. If the answer for your problem is always outside of yourself, you'll never be in control. If the answer of your problem is always someone else, you can't fix it. So accept 100% of the responsibility for your own life. Nothing else would do. This is a concept I first learned with Jack Canfield. I first digested, accepted it. I've heard it my whole life. But with this book, Success Principles. Another thing he talks about is seeking continuous improvement. By the way, we talked about that already in this video. If you're gonna be sales, you don't just arrive one day, I'm the top guy, I don't have anything else to learn. Nothing, hey, fine, you're a big fish in a small pond, congratulations. You wanna make $1 million in a year, you wanna make 300K in a year in sales? You're gonna have to continue to develop and become the kind of person who can make that money. And that comes through continuous improvement. Last book, last but not least, is a book that a lot of salespeople are talking about, and it's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Now this book, this will be my disclaimer, this isn't a sales book necessarily. This book is more about negotiation. This book isn't gonna teach you necessarily sales techniques, some of it can apply, This is more about how to negotiate. Let's say somebody's beating you up on price. This book will help you get through that whole thing. Let's say somebody's giving you a hard time about the length of the term in your contract. This book will help you negotiate that sort of thing. This guy was a hostage negotiator, so he's a master negotiator. I've used some of his techniques. Absolutely recommend this book. I'm gonna go ahead and read a quote from the book, and you guys can see it on the screen. He who has learned to disagree without being disagreeable has discovered the most valuable secret of negotiation. How to negotiate obviously is important in sales. So if there's a book you're gonna read about it, this is the one, but it's not necessarily sales methodology. Notice that in all the books that I just reviewed and went over, only really one of them was a full-out sales book, right? Because I find that, you can watch enough YouTube videos. There's a lot of books out there. I don't like a lot of them. A lot of them aren't good. But so many books out there on sales. If you can just get the fundamentals in terms of asking the right questions, etc., the rest of it's in your head. So much of the game is mental in sales. So go ahead, go out, buy all 7 of these books, get them on Audible, get them on Amazon, get through them, find a way to do it. You wanna make more money in sales? One of the things you're gonna wanna do is stop taking in content that's not getting you closer to where you wanna be. If what you wanna do is earn $300,000 this year in sales, everything you do should move you further to that goal. Everything else is simply a waste of time. So if every time you hop in your car, you've got music blasting, nothing wrong with music. I love music. But you know what? When I'm on mission and I'm looking to get somewhere, the only thing going in my ears is something that's getting me closer to my goal. Something educational. Most time it's a book. When I'm in the gym, I could listen to my favorite, music, whether it be a Jay-Z playlist, a little Kanye, I don't know what it is. I could do that. But instead, I take in content that will move me closer to my goal. Because music's great, there's a time and place for it, but if you're on mission and you're not where you want to be yet, you're not at the point where you're making $200,000 a year, you're not at the point where you're making $100,000 a year, $300,000 a year, lock yourself down. Take in content that will help you. I just gave you 7 books that will help you get there. Man, give yourself a rule, give yourself a parameter. I'm not listening to another song until I finish at least one of these books, until I finish 7 of these books. Go crazy. I can't tell you how much reading has elevated my career, because I can tell you, as a guy who failed high school, dropped out of college, was absolutely broke. The only way I've made it to be an executive at a $20 billion tech company was through self-development. I didn't get that traditional development. This is what got me there. I highly recommend it for you. So if you want to learn more about sales and how you can get to that next level, I've got an entire playlist about sales and how to master it. Thanks for watching. See you later.